go ahead and start sharing my screen and let us get started.
Recording in progress.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the second session of the Maryland Product Symposium 2025. We are going to be getting started here in just another minute or two. I'm letting people transfer over from one to the other. Definitely had a big group in the last one. We're going to be talking about AI workflows for product managers, and we're going to be building some agents together after learning a little about what that is. Now, as we go, all right. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I may need some help with people being admitted into the room as I go, just because, as it turns out, there's a little bit of an overhead with doing things this way, but I'm excited. So welcome, everybody. My name's John Johnson. I am the Professional Programs Manager for the University of Maryland's Project Management Center for Excellence and the co-founder of the Product Management Master's Degree. What we're going to be talking about today is the AI workflows for product managers, and we're going to be building some agents together. So I'm really want to make this interactive. We are going to be exploring how to build agents together. I actually have for you something that's going to help you to build your first agent today. It will be helpful if you have access to ChatGPT or Gemini as we go through this. If you don't now, you can always come back and watch it later. But first and foremost, how many people here have heard of the product Devin, the autonomous agent by Cognition Labs? It came out in 2024. It's a pretty amazing capability, and what it is actually an autonomous agent that's able to quickly build code and even go as far as merging and submitting pull requests in order to develop new code. Now, it may not have been the world's truly first fully autonomous AI software engineer, but it definitely was a breakthrough, and it got a lot of press. And I want to just play for you very briefly a quick summary that comes from Lenny's newsletter about just how powerful this AI agent software is. I'm going to go ahead and click play so we all can take a look at it.
Our whole team is only like 15 engineers. We use a ton of Devin when we're building Devin. Most folks on the team are definitely working with up to 5 Devins at once. And so Devin merges like several hundred pull requests into production in the Devin code bases every month.
What percentage of your PRs are Devin versus humans right now?
It's in the neighborhood of a quarter or so.
Where do you think this will be at the end of the year?
Honestly, we expect it to be a decent bit more than half.
You guys are so ahead of how companies work with AI engineers.
AI is going to be the biggest technology shift of our lives. So most of the big tech revolutions that we've had over the last 50 years, like personal computer and the internet and the mobile phone, they all had this big hardware component that was a big part of the distribution. Folks who were building for those industries kind of saw their market grow and grow and grow, basically steadily year over year as the number of people with mobile phones increased, right? As the number of people connected to the internet increased. One of the things which is already, I'd say, different in AI is just how explosive the technology can be. There's no weight on hardware distribution. It means that the space is just growing so exponentially.
How is the act of being an engineer and building changing?
I think there's going to be way more programmers and way more engineers a few years from now. Pretty quickly, the form factor of what it means to be a programmer obviously is going to change. But at the end of the day, of course, the discipline is all about just being able to tell your computer what to do. And so in that lens, I really think that programming is only going to become more and more important as AI gets more powerful.
Cool.
It's really something.
Coming back to the topic at hand. So pretty amazing that the company that built Devin is using Devin to build more Devin. Fantastic name, Devin. Really powerful. With just a simple referral to a blog post, which is one of their first demos that they did. Devin will do things like be able to produce on the fly either custom art, or will be able to immediately prototype new user interface experiences. It's able to do a lot of work. It's not able to do the most complex work, but it's able to do a lot of work and to be able to choose its own pathway to go and solve around problems and to navigate whenever it gets stuck. And it will even do things just like you would expect a coder to do, which is it will pull up, of course, Google, and it will then Google, how do I solve this problem? Because anybody who has coded or has worked with coders knows that a significant part of solving coding problems is actually just researching and learning about how to make the technology do what you want it to do and be able to tell the computer what to do. So pretty amazing, pretty cool stuff. We aren't going to be getting into that level of AI agent today. Instead, we're going to be doing something a little bit more akin to what we have here from IBM's HR assistant. So in this case, many of you, make sure that many of you may have heard about this case. I've talked about it in a previous conversation about hyper individual contributors and how the move towards AI, there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of fear mongering, there's a lot of pressure to adopt. As we were just talking about in the previous session, Daniel and Henry had a really good talk there and expressing just how much we all are just feeling that burden, right? How do we become AI-enabled people in the future? What's interesting, though, is that what we're really seeing underneath the hood, and this has actually been happening since after the pandemic. It's a pretty unique thing that you can also see in the latest McKinsey Future of Work study that came out in 2024. People are moving around in terms of the jobs that they're doing, and technology is pushing them. Preferences are pushing them. The opportunity landscape a little bit, but there is movement, and in fact, there never has there been more movement as there is today, and has been recently in the United States. Now, that isn't true everywhere, by the way. Places like Europe don't have as much movement, and that's a problem for them. Hopefully, they'll be able to unstick their workforce so that they can make the switch. The reason why those patterns matter, especially in the context of IBM and what they did, is IBM, to kind of prove and that Watson was useful and to prove their technologies could help reinvent companies and to do what in product management we call dogfooding. They actually built a whole system of handling HR requests, and it was called Ask HR. And of course, the CEO, Arvind Krishna, talked about how powerful this was at the beginning of the process and at the beginning of the analysis of how well HR was able to respond to requests like asking for days off or submitting for paternity or maternity leave or finding out about benefits. The Net Promoter Score was very low. And we're talking Net Promoter Score, of course, is a measurement where you have a 1 to 10 rating, and the top 8, 9, 10 counts as a positive, and then there's neutral and there's negative, and you sum that up, you get essentially a 0 to 100, negative 100 to a positive 100 score. Negative 35 was the starting point. They went up to plus 74 by effectively automating out all of the friction that was in the system and making many things automated through simple chat services. Most of them were, this is pre-LLM technology primarily. A lot of it is about intelligent decision trees and being able to navigate based upon interpreting text, so like NLP and machine learning, but not large language models. And they were able to save significant amounts of money. We're talking $3.5 billion. Now, they weren't able to address all of the HR requests. There are still edge cases that required context in humans and special cases. That represented about 6%. 94% of the HR requests were automated out. And so that did mean that those people who were serving that role had to change positions. They had to go find new roles, either in IBM or elsewhere. But I believe many were recycled through. The key, though, is that the net employment of IBM went up, because what did they do with all that savings? Well, IBM is in a competitive market, just like every other major tech company is in a competitive market, especially those doing primarily services. And IBM needed to reinvest in its AI capabilities. And so that's what they did. And they hired a lot more software engineers and a lot more developers in order to reinvest into the work that matters in the future. So this story, I've talked about this before over the summer with a previous talk on how to become a super individual contributor using Gen AI. This story, I believe, represents the future of what we're all facing. There is a lot of churn that's happening in specific roles, especially coordination roles, especially roles that are serving to make, let's say, basic cognitive judgments. But the net in Silicon Valley, the net in software, the net across most industries is that we are still seeing a steady increase in employment. It's just in new areas that are now emerging. Oops. So, why is it that we need to, as product managers, become aware of and think about the opportunities to apply agents, not just to use large language models in order to do our things a little faster, hopefully not create the work slop that we were talking about in the last session. And the main thing is that as we are moving towards simpler, easier to use systems to develop agentic AI, the opportunity to create learning systems is one that is going to fundamentally transform how work gets done. It's going to increase the quality of the work that we do. It's going to create consistent follow-through of actually completing all the tasks that we should be doing. And it's going to create space in order to do the kind of proactive work, the forward-looking work that too often we find ourselves unable to get to because we're just mired in the drudgery of reports or of navigating laborious tools that don't have great interfaces. And so if we can use agents to reduce our overall workload that we have that is routine and demotivating, then we can begin to invest in higher value work that we haven't been able to get to simply because of the fact that we haven't had the cycles and our tools are getting in the way. So that's the promise. So how is this going to work? How are we going to think about agentic AI? The framework I'd like you to think about is the SPAR framework. That's where you sense, the agent is able to sense and gather inputs. It's able to then plan and decide on the right course of action, or it is following some kind of procedural memory. It is able to act and execute tasks in a way that is consistent and aligns with the workflow and the standards that you have. And then, most importantly, the agent is able to reflect, learn, and adapt in order to improve the next time. And it's adding in that feedback cycle that's really key. So when it comes to AI, it's best to think about AI in terms of the levels of agentic AI that are out there. So I'm going to be occasionally saying AI, and in this talk I'm talking about agentic AI. There are the very simple level 1 agents, which are looking at how to apply repeatable steps, usually through robotic process automation, and they are simply executing a workflow. Those kinds of agents are very useful for very routine things, but of course they're very rigid and they don't handle new things well. So you end up oftentimes having to bend around those systems as opposed to those systems bending around you. Intelligent process automation is like the Ask HR capability that IBM was able to use to free up over $3 billion of reinvestment. And that's where you add to those workflows the ability to interpret situations with machine learning and natural language processing capabilities. And that allows us to address things in context. But the scope still remains narrow because of the ability to process information requires very strict inputs. And we still have an issue with the ability to learn. Agentic workflows are where we're able to actually chain tools together. They don't have to all live within a tool. And we're able to maintain short-term memory and even potentially access long-term memory and routines that are able to keep the agent focused and able to execute with higher levels of quality and to do so across many different tools, much like what we do. But it is going to be primarily for work that is more mundane. We will be providing the slides, by the way. You will be able to access these talks later, and then we're also recording them, just noticing some of the chat popping up. So thank you very much. And then lastly, we have level 4 and level 5, which is semi and full autonomous agents. That's a lot like level 4 is like what Devin does, where it is able to, with kind of a simple prompt, go about accomplishing goals and tackling roadblocks, figuring out and adding new rules and new ways of solving problems. It navigates itself to the answer. Full autonomy is where you give the mission to the agent, and it's then setting its own goals. And that, of course, we think of that as being kind of the world of sci-fi, and how do we keep it in good containers. And the reality is that while we may feel like we're far away from that, there are places where semi-autonomy is already happening, and full autonomy may be on the horizon, but probably not quite as close as what we think. Still, lots of opportunity at level 3. So let's dive in. We're going to actually build some level 3 agents today. In fact, I have for you an exercise where you're going to build what I call the daily product radar. And that's where we're going to be taking the top 5 signals that are out there in the world every day and providing you with a quick summary of what they are, plus 3 ready to post LinkedIn updates that are going to allow you to stay on top and also in front of what's happening in the news related specifically to you. And that's the key, is that it is tailored to you and your context, and you will be able to update it and improve it as you go. We also are going to do a quick live building of an urgent request sensor. I have one that I'm going to show you in terms of the walkthrough about how to handle help requests that are coming in through email notifications. And then we're also going to talk about how you can build one in order to rapidly respond to job postings that are a really good fit for you, for everybody who is looking to stay on top of job postings and be a part of that top 100 responses. That's the goal of that build. So we'll do that together as well. And then demo 3, we probably won't get to that one, but I will follow up and I will provide you with that later. Okay, so quickly, I want to get everybody on the chat. Give me some feedback here. This is something that I personally have been wrestling with, and it's just to get everybody kind of thinking. Who's bothered by Gen AI style text? Do you love it? Do you tolerate it? Do you hate it? I mean, I'm providing it right here, right? You can see it with my steampunky, not a big fan. Thank you. Hate it. Does this, when you see this, do you feel like, oh man, no effort? Like that's the work slop we were talking about. Makes me feel cheated. Love it. Yeah. So some people love it, right? I feel like it expresses as well. I mean, emojis are another language. Anybody who watched the show Adolescence learned that in the first episode. I haven't been able to go back to watch the second. I'm kind of scared about it. The point though is that, this is new, right? Do not like. Okay, so I think we're tending towards the tolerate and hate. Yeah, tolerate and hate seems to be not so great. Okay. Yeah, I appreciate all of your feedback. Obviously this isn't a scientific poll. It's just yeah. So it's interesting. You know, there are effectively, I think, two camps about this. One is that, the emojis give us additional data really quickly. And then others are like, yeah, but it's inconsistent. I don't know what it means. Um, and then I think that it depends that's a Harvard Business School answer. Maybe that's the one to go with until we have more data. Okay, cool. Let's get to work. What I'm gonna, last slide before we get to work. One thing I want to make sure that we all do is I want to make sure that as you are stepping up into the world of using agents and developing agents, I want to make sure that you are aware of the very simple, easy things that you can do to make your interaction with LLMs much more effective. And I'm going to tell you that the basis of creating LLM-driven agents is understanding how to do good interaction with LLMs. And how that works is that first you need to develop detailed prompts. Prompts are still very much the moneymaker when it comes to AI-driven products. And if you look at some of the prompts that are created for major products that are out there that are using AI in order to quickly respond to customer requests or to internal queries, or to improve on the responses of other forms of agents, the prompts are long. They're really long. In fact, even your LLM that you use on a regular basis has significant amount of overhead prompt, and that's because it is trying to control and make sure that the LLMs are responding effectively. LLMs have, by their very nature, the tendency to hallucinate. So one of the things that you want to do in this prompt is to say, no fabricated data. And you want to say in your prompts whenever you're doing research, something like, let's keep it honest. If any fact is uncertain, say uncertain. And include links when it comes to sources. You can also be very clear about what it is that you're looking to do, the goal, who it is for, the audience, the amount of response that you want, the constraint. I don't know if you've worked with LLMs and then just been overwhelmed by like the scroll that you get when it responds to you. You don't have to take it. You can put it into the prompt, and then make sure that it's being honest, it's not fabricating, and it's giving you links to sources. That's step one, being good at prompts. You might say, but I don't have time to write prompts. Yes, you do. Just ask the LLM to write a really good prompt like this one, and copy paste this, or just say, can you please write a highly effective prompt to make sure that I have a high quality result that does not include any fabrication, and it will simply say, sure, and then it will write it for you. And then you can iterate and get the prompt you want. So prompt to get prompts, make sure that you've got a good one before you really get going. This can speed up the time that you spend with an LLM easily by 2 or 3 times faster, if not more. Second, multi-shot prompting. This is the secret to accuracy. If you want to become really effective with using LLMs, you need to give it an example of what you're shooting for. I think about this as being, a picture's worth 1,000 words, which is true. If you share with the LLM what it is, the picture of what it is that you're looking for, it will immediately be able to understand the context and the tone and the formatting and all the other things that are going to be just laborious for you to be able to explain. And so give it examples, give it a couple examples. If you can, give it a bad, a good, and a great example, and you're going to get really good results. And so if you are using the same prompt over and over again, you should also use the same examples in multi-shot prompting in order to give the AI the fastest means to satisfying you. And then lastly, if you have a long series of things that you want AI to do, you need to break it up. AI has a limited amount of memory that it can hold, large language models, and even large reasoning models that make good use of what we're going to talk about later, long-term memory, they also have to be efficient with their info. But if you can split up the task, you can ensure that the right information is being stored correctly. You can also avoid the drift that happens with really long prompts. And you can also stay within the window of context that the LLM can handle. And then you can tell the LLM, now that we've done this, store what we just resulted in your long-term memory. Literally, you can say that. Store this information. And your LLM will store it, not in session, which is like, the interactions that's happening between you and the server, but it will actually store it normally in a vector database that's on the back end that's really efficient for retrieval. And what that means for you is that you're going to get it back the same way that you stored it, as opposed to kind of like what you stored and filled with new stuff you didn't want. So break it up. That helps the LLM, which is struggling with the amount of information it has to contain. It has way too much. It's kind of like a really hyper new hire, and it doesn't have a lot of long-term memory. It's just moving from task to task. So you've got to help it slow down, take it one step at a time, and then store the result. You also have to tell it to not make stuff up, and you have to tell it to stay on track, and you have to give it an example of what to do. So this is really like your most junior employee who also has infinite energy and is really eager to please you. So with that, you are ready to be really good interacting with chats. But let's move on to talking about how we're going to build agents. And now I'm going to go ahead and bring up a QR code for those that are on their mobile. I'm also going to share this in the chat. This is a QR code for you to be able to access a GPT that I created that is going to help you set up for yourself right now your daily product radar. So let me go ahead and also see if I can put this in here. That's the QR code. It's in the chat. And then I'm also going to grab the GPT. Give me just one quick second. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. Okay, here we go. Cool. So click on this. And I'm going to do so as well. And I'm going to show you by sharing with the demo, because I did promise this was a workshop and not a big keynote. Oh my gosh, my mini tabs are embarrassing. All right, let's do this. All right, so this is the Daily Radar Development GPT. I built this for you and for myself. And so what you do to get started is you can click the button, or just if you were in a regular session, you could also type run daily radar development GPT. And in the background is a prompt that I have created that that is going to go through this series of steps with you. And the first thing it's going to ask you is, what platform are you on? So this daily radar prompt is going to work if you're in Gemini or ChatGPT. I'm taking a note from our next follow-on presenter, Damian Peters, who is able to do concurrently 3 different systems and vibe code in 3 in one session. It was pretty amazing. If you haven't seen that, you should go back and watch it. We did it back in early June. Okay, so I'm in ChatGPT. I'm going to tell it, hey, I'm working in ChatGPT. And then it says, great. We're going to build a daily sector radar for ChatGPT just for you. And then we're going to schedule it as a daily task, and it's going to go off every day, and it's going to help you with starting your day, being in the know and having something to post online, even before you've had your first cup of coffee. Next, it's going to ask you, what do you want to learn about every day to help you stay on top of market trends and your products and feedback from your customers, other preferred, and what areas of the world do you want to learn from? Do you have any preferred sources? What's the recency window that you're looking in the last 24, 48, 72 hours, and the tone of the audience. So how to answer this? You could go through and answer it. Another thing that you could do is you could click the little use voice mode, and you could just talk, just speak right to your LLM, and it will listen to you and it will fill it in. There's one other thing that you could do, which is pretty cool. You can actually go to your LinkedIn profile, which is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to go into LinkedIn. Hopefully there's nothing embarrassing. This is all live. I'm going to go to my actual profile, and then I'm going to grab, oops, wrong one. I'm going to grab the about me, and I'm just going to copy that, and I'm going to paste that in. I'm going to be like, fill this out for me. This is me. So now I just gave it my background, and it says, great. Thanks, John. I'll go ahead and fill this out for you. And so what it says, according to my background, is that I'm interested in project management innovation, agile methods, product leadership, emerging tech and education and government. My keywords would be related to such. The regions would be primarily US. I work with lots of different higher ed as well as professional organizations. And I want a recency of 48 hours, etc. And all I have to do at this point is just say, okay, yeah, that sounds good. Let's move on. And then it says, great. Perfect. Let's keep going. So now it's going to scope out what the daily radar is doing. And what it's doing here is it's showing me exactly what the prompt is going to be. And it is focusing it for me. So now I've got the scope is going to be on the things that I care about, the keywords, the regions, we covered that. Output structure, I'm going to have top 5 signals. I want those signals to be with a headline and 2-line factual summaries with the date and a verified source and working link. If no valid results come up, say no verified new signals found. It's also going to provide me with a good, well-structured LinkedIn post. And these are going to be 3 of these. And it's going to give me the advice to put the link in the first comment, which is the right way to do it, according to the professionals. That helps if you are the author and you comment first, and if people click on that comment, all of that adds to the weighting of your post. So pro tip. And then lastly, it is saying here we're going to add in some quality rules and make sure that those are good to go. Things like use only live web sources, prioritize factual accuracy and reputable domains, deduplicate stories if they are similar, maintain neutral academic professional tone in all wording, limit output, and use my time zone, which is the East Coast. And so I can tell it I want to change some of these things. I could do that. I could say, you know what? We can say update the tone to be friendly and a little playful. That's how I like to start my day. Right? And then I say, otherwise, this is good. And then it will say, this is the iteration part. Perfect. I've updated your voice. Here's another look. If you like it, just say okay. Okay. Everything's looking good. Keep the tone friendly, witty, and human, never overhyped or emoji heavy. So it knows my preferences to that poll answer as well. I'm going to say, okay, yeah, that sounds good. And again, this is what we're doing here is we're working with this GPT, and it's developing out it's developing out the prompt that I'm going to need. And then it says, great, try asking ChatGPT directly, scheduling the following prompt, then paste your prompt. If the schedule isn't available, you can pin it, etc. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come up here. This is the instructions for ChatGPT. This is the prompt. And we're going to say, we're going to go ahead and take this whole thing. And we can just take it and then we can copy it and we can then put it into a new session and say, I want you to schedule this prompt every day at 6:30 a.m. EST. Put it in, hit go. So here's the thing. ChatGPT or Gemini, they have a scheduler. And so give it a moment to think. So you see here, it's now saying, done. Your daily project and product innovation scan is now scheduled to run every day at 6:30. It'll automatically perform the live web scan, generate your top 5 signals, plus 3 LinkedIn ready posts with your exact tone and structure. Cool. Shall we see what it looks like? Let's do it. So here's the instruction. Here's the when. This is a schedule or a task. And then now I'm going to say, run it now. And so it's now gone and done the analysis. It's got top signals like AI governance, alt framework, Nebraska school CIO praises, statewide agile cyber posture. LinkedIn ready posts include things like, what if a city, this is a source that's coming from, and by the way, I didn't prep this, but the new alt framework, Adapt, Listen, Trust from Rethink AI encourages exactly the opposite. AI deployments must adapt architecture over time, listen to resident feedback, and build trust via transparency. So this is, what if city AI projects succeed only when citizens get to critique them early? Pretty cool post, pretty cool content. And of course, it has the link. It came in today. It's not giving me anything that is too crazy. It's got 3 LinkedIn posts that are going to be very easy to format, and then I also have my 2 top stories, and then 2 others, but ChatGPT thinks they're not quite as cool. There you go. And this will run every day, and I will receive an email from ChatGPT telling me it's ready. And I will then immediately be able to pop into LinkedIn or to read about these posts. And this is from me. This is my tailored radar and sensor. And I could advance this prompt to include things like scan for signals about our products and look for customer feedback on the website, classcentral.com. All of these are opportunities for running it. So that is an example of creating for yourself an agent that will run on time and as a scheduled work. So we have just together built our daily product radar, and you can advance it even further if you want to, and it should be able to serve you well. Okay. Couple of things, just as like a note when it comes to using these is when you use this, you don't have to answer the questions yourself. As I showed you, just copy paste the CV. Good question. There's a question coming in. Do you have to turn on agent mode to use this? You do not have to turn on agent mode. It is going to run in the background like a task, and it is another feature that both Gemini and ChatGPT have built in. It is simply, you just tell it, do this every day at this time, and it will do it. And then it will tell you that it's done it. And you can go into your settings and you can tell it to give you an email, or I can actually show you where those notifications are. Or you can just allow it to be a notification within ChatGPT itself. But for transparency, if you go to your settings and there's a couple things here for just the average user. You should know that you can change your accent color. I'm a big fan of orange. It's because my spirit animal is definitely Naruto. I have notifications allow for tasks, which is what we just created. It's called a task. Can come in as push and email. So the push would be a notification here, and then the email would be to me, and I can actually show you that I have a couple tasks that I've developed, other scanners that I developed in prep for this talk, and they're all here. So this, and you can just go to schedules and you can see it there. So that's what's happening in the background. So don't always answer the questions yourself. Definitely make sure that you are giving the quality restraints, also restrain the length. And if regulation matters for your industry, this may be something that you want to add in as being a key part of your prompt. Regulation matters a lot in my industry, so I'll probably go back and add that later. Okay. Next, let's talk about a different type of agent that we can create. This one is about how can we handle the urgent request when we're in a meeting? How can we make sure that we're staying on top of and scanning the notifications that are either coming in via Slack or via email or whatever your integration point is? For me, it's email. Because I work in an archaic system at the University of Maryland, and so that's the thing that we use. But also, email's great. And so, what I want you to think about now is there are things that you should be doing that you're not doing with your email. There's a lot of things probably. There's a lot of data there. There's a lot of intelligence there that we could be using. And my follow-up to this, I'm going to give you some additional tools, but we have at the University of Maryland built a lot of courses on edX and Coursera. And in particular on edX, we have found it beneficial to create a help request that comes in and allows us to respond to people who need basically level 2 or level 3 help from us in the course. Normally it has to do with resetting quizzes and allowing them to retake the course because of the fact that they didn't pass it and they really need to, and they don't want to repay for it, and we're happy to help. So what we want to do is we want to see the email when it arrives. We want to put it into a log of emails to understand what the issues are and which courses are having these issues. Occasionally we get real bugs. Most of the time they're not bugs, but occasionally we do. And we want to be able to prioritize addressing these on a regular basis. So a great way to set up an email sensor is to use the tool Zapier. So I'm going to show you an example of what it is that I'm talking about and how this works. And then we're going to build one together in order to identify that job posting that you got to respond to like right now. Okay. So let's go ahead and show you an example. Here we have a help request that came in, and we want to be able to respond to it as quickly as possible for reattempting a quiz. Inside of Zapier, we can set up a pretty simple agentic workflow using agentic with the knowledge that we're talking about level 3 for all those who are going to say it's not an agent, it's on, but it will be. So what we want to do is we want to every week, at least once, maybe twice a week, we want to, and here I have every 3 days, I want to have Zapier run a query on my email to find all the help requests, to then analyze it using AI to process it into a Google Sheet, and then to label it as having been marked. And so the way I'm going to do that is I'm first going to set up the runtime every 3 days. I don't want to do it more often than that because each one of these actions costs is called a task, and you use them up. So you get a certain number of them, and so we don't want to use too many. Twice a week is fine. So now what I'm going to do is I set up the next step in Zapier, which is to find an email. And the way I do that, so I'm going to tell you something. I did not write this. I used the Copilot that is available in Zapier to help me build this. I'm going to show you how to do that. But the result is that it says a find email query where the subject is exactly what we get as a message: new submission from edX help request form in quotes. And then it sets additional properties. It has to be newer than 6 months, and it cannot include any that have been labeled as edX help requests. This is how I'm essentially marking it as done. So that search goes, and if nothing is found, stops. If we find multiple emails, all of those emails are sent forward into the next step. And then the AI by Zapier runs an LLM. It's an OpenAI LLM, ChatGPT 4 not. And what it's doing is it's then analyzing the raw text that's coming out of this data, and it's going to assert, first off, which professional certificate it is. It's going to categorize the type of issue as a bug, a quiz reset, or a general inquiry. It's then going to create a brief summary of the issue so that I can easily refer to it. And it's going to check if there are attachments and list their names, because sometimes we also get pictures and screenshots, and those things are helpful too. And I want links to that, right? So all that information is going to be captured. And the best way to interpret it, now, planning that out in like a level 2 agent would be really difficult, right? It would be difficult because of the fact that the form, while it's good, it's not going to be easily interpretable every time the same way. People fill things out the wrong way. People have the wrong spelling. There's lots of issues with it. Maybe a level 2 can handle it, but there's just a lot to kind of munge here. Instead, by using an LLM, it can very quickly understand and process this data for me. So with that, it's going to extract the subject, the from, it's going to look at the body and the attachments and use all of that information in this query. Then it's going to fill out a Google Sheet that I have in the background, which is collecting all these requests, which is pretty cool. And it's doing so with the information it derived by processing the data from the email. And that is then being put into all of the different columns and based on the headers I've given them. And it's now going to continue to fill out my bug list or my help request list. And so I just set it up. And at the very end, once it's processed each email, it's going to label it as edX help request, because remember, that's my escape mechanism to make sure that I'm not reprocessing the same email and paying for that. And that's going to add to my list of processed emails inside of Gmail. So what I've done here is I'm essentially creating a list of processed emails. I'm also going through and evaluating the emails for what it is that they're asking for. And I'm doing it on batch every 3 days. And it's filling out inside of Google. And I didn't have to do a lot to make this. This took about, the first time I ever did it, it took me about an hour of concentrated work. And the ROI on that is that taking this information every week and putting it into a spreadsheet is definitely 30 minutes I'm not going to do ever, or maybe 45 minutes. And maybe I get fast at it. It'll be 20 minutes every once in a while, but I'm definitely going to have many weeks where I don't do it. And then it might get to be a big load. And then I have to go back and redo it again. And I'm not responding quickly. This is all being done. And I can very quickly see who needs my help. And if I need to know what the help requests are, I don't have to go searching through my email anymore. I don't even have to worry about it. I just go to the spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet has it all organized for me. And if I have questions about what's there, I click on the link in the spreadsheet, which is pretty amazing. So that is the example of where we're trying to go. Now I want to take you over to Zapier again. This time I want to do so. I'm just stop sharing for a moment. And we're going to build together a query that is going to help you with processing an urgent email that you're going to define as being urgent. And then it's going to help you to respond immediately. There are a few questions that I want to go ahead and answer right now in process. Question is, does Zapier protect user login data for where it's accessing, such as email or other power protected accounts? The answer is yes. It's encrypted data transfer. It uses the same kind of single sign-on agreements that you would use for linking any applications together. Where you put the data is, of course, up to you. I put it into a secure place on my Google Drive, one which you have to have permissions to access. As a result, all the data is being encrypted and transferred between applications that are password protected, dual authentication protected, actually. But once I set it up, it has the connection and it can do it. Zapier is free at a beginning tier, but only for a two-step automation. So it's not a lot, just enough to play with. Here's the thing. If you want, before you ever decide that you want to invest in Zapier, which is about $30 a month, you can build and test out, which is what we're about to do, the zaps that are an opportunity for you to see what it can do for you. And I could have had this sent to CRM. I could have been pulling this. I could have been, instead of pulling emails, I could have been pulling from Jira or from Trello or from many other applications. There's a lot of depth to Zapier and its ability to even provide you with what it calls agents, which are still kind of level 3, but they're getting up to level 4. But they have the ability to do something called multi-agent linking, which is where one agent is able to talk to another agent, and if they run different models, they tend to end up with what's called emergent intelligence, just like in a conversation where you talk with somebody and you both kind of learn a lot and you fill each other's blind spots in, and then you come up with more understanding. Same thing happens with the way that agents work and the way that LLMs work. They're actually better in groups, like people. And so they end up with higher levels, what's called emergent multi-agent intelligence. And you can set that up inside of Zapier as well. Okay, so quick answers to those questions. And once you get up to the paid tier, you can do a lot of things with paid at different levels. But effectively, the run that you just saw there had 4 tasks per email, and that cost about 20 cents, which is ridiculously cheap. You know, I think the equivalent per hour cost is something like $3 or $4. As opposed to my hourly cost, which is, I hope, at least 10 times more than that. And so you're getting a much better return on investment, even with tiers where the price per task is relatively high at maybe 5 cents a task. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and log on to Zapier, and I'm going to do so through my personal account, which actually I have not paid for yet. But that's also because I want to show you the same way that you're probably going to do it if you've never done this before. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We are going to log into Zapier with our personal email. And now everybody knows my personal email. But that's okay. That's why we do these things live. The next thing I want to do is I want to create a high value message sensor that's going to tell me immediately what it is that whether or not I need to respond to it. So think about this as like that urgent email from your spouse or your partner, or maybe it could be, in my case, it's going to be that job posting that is like a really good fit for me, and it's going to be in Pittsburgh, because my brother is always asking me to find these things. Don't worry, I'm not leaving my job, but he's always asking me to apply to them. It's kind of like a what if, and so I want to develop that. So how am I going to do it? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm definitely not going to type. I'm going to hit dictate. and I'm going to allow it to use my microphone. And now I'm going to be talking into Copilot here, and I'm going to tell it, go ahead and create for me a zap that can sense. Let's just see if it's working. Stop. Yes, it is. Perfect. All right. Just double check because I'm using multiple systems that I don't usually use at the same time. I want to create a zap that is going to sense my Gmail and identify whenever I receive a LinkedIn job alert that is from Pittsburgh for a director of product management or product management position. And it needs to be a perfect fit to my CV. And if it is a really good fit, then I want to be sent an urgent notification to my email. Otherwise, I want no action whatsoever. And that's it. And so now I'm going to hit go. And what Copilot is going to do is it's doing what's called large reasoning model work. It's telling me exactly what it is that it's doing, what it's thinking about. It's going to figure out what are the opportunities in the background for creating a zap. It is creating all the different parts here. Assumptions made are that LinkedIn job alerts come to your Gmail inbox. You can define the text that's a perfect fit, and urgent notification will be via email to the same Gmail account, etc. So now it says, what specific criteria should describe a perfect fit to your CV? And you say, well, let me paste in my background or my CV. I think actually I do have my CV here. Give me one quick second. Yeah, here it is. I had it ready to go. All right. Here's my CV. Let's make this part of an AI step that it's used as reference for efficiency. All right, just paste it in my CV. And then now it's going to say, oh, okay, great. This is who you are. Thanks. Only a couple of bullets, but I'm not offended. Now it's going to figure out either a ChatGPT integration that would be really effective, which I'm probably not going to use because I don't want to set up a ChatGPT integration. I'll show you why. And then soon it's going to say, okay, let's do it this way. Here's my proposed structure. And I'll say, and then there's a next step to continue. We can build this AI powered job alert system. Let's go together into the editor and I'll get it started for you. Okay, that sounds good. You know your system better than I do. So now Copilot, which is built into Zaps, is working on the side, and it's going to go ahead and just build out all these triggers for me. I am not interested in becoming an expert at Zapier. That is not my thing. But what is my thing is being able to get a response be able to quickly respond to a job alert when it comes in, and it's like a perfect match for me in the place that I want, and I want to be one of the first 100 to respond to it, right? That would be a fantastic thing. Here we have, it's continuing to work in the background. It's going to continue to do things like build out the email. It's going to iterate, and it's going to come up with some proposed actions. It's going to offer things like filters. I don't like filters. They tend to cause issues. It's going to say you should use ChatGPT, OpenAI. I'm just going to tell it to let me use, at least for this part right now, I'm going to say let's use AI by Zapier. It actually costs more money to do that in the long run, but just to get this thing showing that it works, I'm going to tell it to use AI by Zapier because when you get started, you get it for free. But later, I would set up like a ChatGPT account, and it's not hard to get the OpenAI account, and then to be able to set that up. It's just a couple of steps, and it costs almost no money. It's like, less than it's like pennies on pennies with every time that you run it. And it stopped. So let's say let's continue with building the sensor. I think it's because I'm on a free account, for detecting Pittsburgh, LinkedIn, job alerts, and producing an email to me if I'm a good fit. And I'm going to let it continue to run. So these steps, interacting with the Copilot, it's very easy to interact with it and to go back and forth. I've actually done this once before. This took, going back and forth could take up to like maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Oh, it's already chosen to switch over to Zapier's AI. That's good. I like that choice. It has a new email matching search. I know how I'm going to edit that. I'm going to let it just do its thing. Let me go ahead and just show you what the final result looks like, because I don't want everybody to be hanging around too long. So I'm going to go back to my Pittsburgh job matchings app. So with a few back and forths that I've had, I was able to get it essentially to this, where in my Gmail, I have it look for something that is from LinkedIn.com that says Pittsburgh job alerts in the inbox. I then, and that's the configuration. I then want to test and see if it is a really good fit for me. And I could use OpenAI, and what I've done here is I've essentially said, you are a career advisor. This is a prompt it created for me. I want you to evaluate the jobs on a fit of 1 to 10, where 8+ indicates a strong match, and note the email may have many jobs, so consider all the jobs. If the highest scoring job is 8 or higher, I want you to provide a brief explanation of why it's a good fit, specific CV modifications to highlight relevant experience, key skills, achievements, and any additional qualifications. Here's my CV. I put it right here in the prompts. That is, again, a trick because of the fact that I don't want to have to add in additional data or other apps to go get it. I just want it here. It's not that long, so just paste it. And then at the very end of this, so it has all my data, and then it has output fields. And then what it will do at the end is it will say, hey, I found a job that's a really good fit for you. So we can actually do a run, and we can do a test run to see what would happen. Oop. It says we can't find any new emails. So what I'm going to do is show you what it looks like when I do get a new email. Let me see if I can go into. I can do the test run. Let's see here. The test. In the test, I ran this a couple of times. So I may be processed all my Pittsburgh jobs that I'm going to get for at least the next couple hours. I'm going to go ahead and select a record. And what it was that was pulled was jobs in Pittsburgh, and it has a whole bunch of other information in it. So I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, go forward with this record. And it's going to use that to then run through the AI Zapier, and I'm going to hit go ahead and retest this step. So what I want to see is what's the output going to be from the fact that what's the output going to be? It's then going to give me. It says it's a 9. This opportunity is a 9, It matches my product experience. It's for senior product manager role at Duolingo. I should highlight certain achievements. And it says the product that key skills to highlight would be these. Additional notes might be think about getting some direct experience with learning technologies or similar platforms. Little does it know. And then I hit continue, and then it wants to put this information into a Zapier table, and I'll hit. I think actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this step. Yeah, really delete. And then I'm going to do test again, retest. I'm going to send the data through and then hit continue. And then I'm going to say, let's retest this step. And now what it's done is it's sent an outbound email to me saying, hey, you've got an email. It's a really good fit. Go ahead and take a look at it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Gmail. I'm going to stop sharing for a quick sec, and I'm going to pull up that email. And that email is in my personal email. Now we'll go ahead and share again. And so here you can see that the email comes through, and what it says is, hi, John, we found a great opportunity, 9 out of 10. You should go take a look at it. Here are the modifications and additional notes. Go. And effectively, I can now respond to this. Now I could add in, the link to that email. I could add in a couple of other things, but this is exactly the kind of instant update that I could get. And I could also have this marked as urgent, or I could send it to my other work mail so it interrupts my workday. All those things are available. So that's the kind of thing that you can do with Zapier. And it's about it. Like I said, it costs you maybe 15 cents to get that instant message that tells you that there's something to go take a look at. And of course, if you're in the first 100, you get looked at. So this is a really cool thing that you can build. And it costs you $20 or $30 a month. But each run costs you only about 15, 20 cents. And it can keep you right on top of the most important jobs. And you can let AI assess whether or not you're a good fit and even give you recommendations on your CV, which is all pretty amazing. Okay, so I've shown you two examples of how we can use Zapier in order to both, through interacting with the Copilot, build out a Zap. Also with using Zapier in order to build out a workflow for capturing customer requests, processing them, categorizing them, making them available for analysis, and being able to quickly respond to them and not digging through my notifications. And then being able to batch that on a regular basis. Let's go ahead and go back. So one additional element would be to figure out how we would want to continue to add in feedback loops. This is where, on a regular basis, you want to go in and kind of look at the quality of the recommendations. Explore how you might improve with different test data, and you can go through and do additional test loops. There are other ways to do feedback loops as well, but that should be kind of part of your routine for maintaining any of your Zaps. Okay, so we've done that build. One thing I'm going to provide to you later is a demo about how you can use app scripts to extract all of your data from your inbox and then process that and turn that into into an update, as well as label all of your emails. I don't have that demo for you here right now. It's partially, almost completely done, but I'm going to provide that to you after today. And those steps will work if you're in Outlook or if you are in Google G Suite. So with that, you may be saying, okay, cool, this is great. What should I be doing in order to take advantage of these fantastic new capabilities? There are a couple of ways to think about it, but most important is understanding the impact of the work that you are automating and the feasibility to automate it. What's different today because of LLMs is the fact that you have now, like what we showed there with the LLM processing the help request, you have the ability to very quickly build an agent that is able to understand messy fields and then to fairly reliably turn those messy fields into structured data and then to process them through some kind of standard, the same way that you would do as a human with your own brain. And that is something that is new. That's something that we didn't have before. And these, even higher levels of capability are coming with the ability to create these on-demand agents through a WYSIWYG, kind of what you see is what you get interaction, or doing like I just did with Copilot to kind of build out a Zap. All of those things are on the horizon. The thing, and by horizon, I mean like some are available now and some will be available within the next couple of weeks to the next month. I don't mean like in 2026. In fact, you can do it right now with Zapier, and there are opportunities there. It's a little bit pricey, but frankly, almost all these frameworks are trying to replace kind of low, pair of hands work, and they're somewhere on the order of $300 to $3,000 a year for really high level support, and being able to have many, many, many different workflows being done on a regular basis. So lots and lots of little specific AI agents going around and just cleaning up all of that work that you really don't want to do so you can do the high impact work. So the question is, what are you going to do next? What are some of the things that you could do on a regular basis to alleviate drudgery in your day and give you back time so that you can be a better product manager, a better director, a better developer? What are some of the things that you could do? I'm curious to see what everybody has in mind. Like, what's the first couple of tasks that you want to tackle? And I'm super curious to hear from people. Anybody anybody have anything that they want to immediately start to automate? Looking at the chat. From marking emails as urgent from high priority clients. Absolutely. Yep. Triaging email, job ads, automate status reports. Absolutely. The automate status reports, I'll put that into, I have a good template for that from another source. I can provide that. Also, it uses Zapier as well. So it should be something that is quick to build on top of what you learned here. Building an agent to monitor disaster hazard conditions. Future state. Interesting. Best fit job summary. Yeah, so many. Yes. And just for all those who are wondering if you will be able to go back and rewatch this presentation, it's being live casted on YouTube and will be available and recorded there. So absolutely. And automate DevOps status for C-suite. Yeah, I agree. And that's another thing that, Zapier or other connectors can tap into. It's really interesting when you think about how to link tooling together. Think about where you work and what you have that you want to tap into it, and either through ChatGPT or through Zapier, there are a lot of connectors that are there right now for Notion, for different kind of project management tools. Almost every project management tool, almost every kind of DevOps tool links to Zapier. And then you can pull data like, the last batch of completed tickets. I want you to summarize the completed work, or I want you to summarize, the tickets that went into the latest build, and then provide us with a reference report as to, the build success, as well as what key features are going live, what's being deployed and what's being released. You could do that. And in fact, people do that. And there are some other more specific tools that are also used for platforms about managing feedback from customers through various CRMs. So there's another one. Help the healthcare in the area of preventative measures. I like that idea. In fact, there's been a lot of discussion about AI agents and their ability to support in health. automatic dashboard generation would help a lot. Yeah, and so the automatic dashboard generation is definitely something that you can get as a routine. I would definitely start in with what we talked about before with iterating with ChatGPT or Gemini on creating those dashboards, and then having a prompt that can run on a regular basis that will then update that data. And depending upon your stack for creating reporting dashboards, I'd either turn that into something that can be published live, or to update data on the back end in order to then make it immediately available to your dashboard. One of the key things to understand here is that you have an integration layer, which is your file system, and your file system can be updated, it can be manipulated, it can be improved, and you can have different agents from different sources go and visit the same files and then do things that they are good at on that file. When you think about jobs, oftentimes we think about people and roles, but when it comes to agents, you really want to break it down and become more granular and think about tasks. So if you think about tasks and what task can we immediately do and set of tasks can we do in order to get the most impact, then you are going to want to think about that. It should be something that's strategic in value. It could be something you want to reduce errors with, like me putting data in a spreadsheet, like I showed you earlier. And you want it to be potentially very scalable so you can get even higher levels of return. Feasibility is about how standardized is it? Do you actually have a way that you are doing it now or could do it? Have you really worked out the process? Do your data and systems have access, or can you link access from one to the other so that you can create a pipeline that's secure? And do you have the tools, and how complex is it? Simpler, better. And so you want, obviously, high feasibility, high impact, lots of work, very routine, standard, but we aren't automating it. That is the sweet spot. That's where we want to go. Obviously, avoid the low impact, low visibility. That's definitely not good. But high impact, low feasibility may be worth exploring in order to see if maybe your feasibility assumptions are incorrect. But just stay out of the low impact, because those are rabbit holes. They are going to help you. You're going to spend a lot of time building it, and then you're going to be like, what did I do? So start here in the top right. A good way to do this is to have your whole team silently brainstorm a bunch of ideas about what could be done. And then everybody puts them up. You look at the combinations. You then are able to do scoring, and you could do that kind of like you might do if you've ever done Agile through a wideband Delphi approach with voting. And then as a team, you can agree on where you want to go next, or you can just do this for yourself. What is key here, going along with my steampunk theme, because I do feel like we're in the steampunk age of AI right now, is you want to standardize the inputs and the outputs. You want to make sure that you are designing for failure, which means to talk to, especially whenever you have a LLM step, that you are creating robust prompts that we talked about earlier. You want to make sure that there's an opportunity to log. If you're not already creating a log, you should have a log that is developed along the way so you can go back and review. And then make sure that, again, it's high impact and hopefully not too complex, as in like many steps, so that you can get a lot out of the leverage. Here's my economics that pencil out. In terms of cost, you should be saving a bunch of money. This should really save you money. Now, you might say, well, it's not like going to hit the budget because I'm not firing myself from that job. But the reality is that if you were to go do that job, it would take your time, and you now have that time back. You might say, well, I'm not doing that job right now, but I want to be doing that job. That's a really good agent task if it is helping you reduce your risk or improve your quality of your work. And both of those two things are quite valid. And again, you're getting the work done. It's just not you doing it. It's the agents that's doing it after you set it up. So consider upfront build time, per run API costs, maintenance and testing and monitoring and overhead, and you should end up with somewhere around 50x to 100x return on investment for cost. But as all of us know, money is one thing. We aren't, we're talking about thousands, not tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands for these kinds of personal automation tasks. The big thing is about time, and you should get a lot of time back. And that's what we all need more of, and that's the bottleneck for us getting great things done. The way I would look at that is you need to be getting at least 3x within the next month or two. If you're not getting that, it's going to be hard to really feel like it's worth your investment, and other people also will question it. So make sure you're getting at least 3x on your time for going in and building it. And then in terms of like the cost of each run, it should be really, really, really low. So most of the effort with these agents are in the upfront, and then the maintenance and management of them should be lower. And remember that the benefits to measure include reducing errors, the ability to create more value because you're doing a thing, or saving yourself time. So here's what I want to recommend to you, your 30-day action plan. Go back and watch this again and follow and take a look at what I'm going to provide you with the follow-up to this in terms of how to do things like app script your email, as well as how to run flows that are able to give you quick response, to urgent requests, etc. But just go try it. That's almost always the number one thing when it comes to these new technologies. It's like, get over that activation energy and just go try it. The good news is you can go play around in Zapier and do a whole bunch of test runs and even get a whole bunch of free automation just by hitting test and like try it out a little bit. So you don't have to solve it. You don't have to solve it after you pay. You can solve it and then you can pay, and you can decide if you want to pay. And you can even get a little bit of automation at first and try it out a little bit and then decide to pay. I mean, you don't have to just jump in with both feet. Remember that you've got the basic LLM practices that we need to get good at. Tell your LLMs to save your most important things. Tell it to schedule a routine task, and it will send you an email telling you it's done. We didn't go over agent mode, but if you want to learn about agent mode, that's something that is really cool. It requires some active monitoring. I don't really consider it to be quite agentic in that regard, but it can run also in the background. Go give that a try too, but just go play and learn. Then I want you to build an agent that works for you on something that is highly feasible and highly impactful, and get a chance to see what that's like to now be doing something that you weren't doing before but should have, or to no longer be worrying about that email that's coming in. And then go back, review and improve, see what you can do better. And whenever you get something that really works, share it with those around you. It is an opportunity for you to make friends as well as to lift up everybody. Yeah, I like the idea about P&L and KPIs. Question from Brian DeSouza. Can you talk about token costs? I can talk briefly about token costs. They typically are quite low for the types of agents that we've been talking about here today, because we're not passing enormous amounts of pre-prompting, and the data that we are processing tends to be relatively small, and we're not iterating. There are no token costs whatsoever for running any of the scheduled tasks inside of ChatGPT or Gemini. They don't have token costs. But if you do set up a Zapier with a Zap which has a tap into an OpenAI API, which is not very hard to set up, you will then you will have to concern yourself with token costs, but it's going to be pennies on pennies for every run. It won't even matter. The thing that will matter will be your Zap runs. And so, if you have like a $20 account, it will last you for half a year with the stuff that we were doing here, if not longer. If not for like a year or two. So that's kind of the shorthand on that. And so it's nervous to pay. I will say this, and I have this concern. It's nervous to pay by use. Paying by usage is not comfortable, but you can ask Copilot in Zapier, how much is this going to cost to run? In fact, I'm going to go ahead and go back and just say, how much? Here's a quick question. How much will this cost me to run if I get 2 emails a day worth responding to? I'm just going to ask this question, right? And Copilot will tell me. It'll tell me. It'll say, well, you got a couple of tasks. It says 180 tasks a month. So somewhere around $20. So that's about 33 cents. 33 cents to be right on top of the job that is going to be most applicable to me. And then when I say, well, what if only one job a week matches the query? And then it will say, it will go ahead and process that for me as well. Um, and yeah, Seth, I love that. Sahal, you're so right. Yeah, we are so anesthetized. Sorry, we're so habituated, is the right word. We are so habituated to the idea of having an all-you-can-eat buffet through subscriptions with software as a service. But here, look, I can even, if I only get a couple of really good emails, and I could tighten the window for like what's a must submit job. So anybody who's just kind of sensing in the background about the opportunities that are out there, you might be perfect for the free plan where you could just say like, look, I only expect a couple of maybe like a one job a week that's worth my response. Great. Use the free plan. You can just run that. The cost is effectively zero because you stay well within the free tier if you're only getting one good hit or two good hits every week, easily. 12 tasks per month. You get 100 tasks per month for free. So this is the thing where you can work with AI to figure out the cost of AI. And when you look at it, you're like, wow. I mean, I literally don't even think twice about hitting the plus 15%. Yes, I'll tip you, and I don't know why I'm tipping you button whenever I check out at a place. And that costs literally, like in this case, infinitely more, but in some cases on the order of like, 1,000 times more than running these things that are really important to me every day. And if you can process that into yourself internally, you can begin to take actions like using these pay per use options and don't worry about it. Set up a wallet for $20 for your API. Don't think about it again. Set up a Zapier account, buy it for $30 a month, and then zap the heck out of everything that you think is important and see when you start to hit the limits. And I guarantee you, if you're hitting the limits and you're actually getting value out of it, you will gladly pay another $20 a month in order to get back hours and hours of time. It's just worth it, right? I mean, a babysitter costs more than that per hour. So all that said, returning back to the share outs, I would love to see what you all do. Please, if you have any questions, you all know my emails now. They've been up on the screen a couple of times. So feel free to email me. I'm happy to chat, happy to help. We've done the daily sector radar. We've gone through and built the zaps and shown what those look like. The inbox prep template, I will send that later as a follow-on. With that, I will go ahead and take any questions that you have. It's been a lot of fun, and hopefully you've enjoyed the workshop and building things together. You can reach out on LinkedIn. You can reach out however you like. I'm happy to help. My job as a faculty at University of Maryland is to help others, so that's why I'm here. Awesome. I'm so happy that you all found this to be useful. It really means a lot. Yes. The next session starts at 12:15, and that's with Damian Peters. He's got an amazing keynote for you about the craft of being a product manager in the age of AI. He is really, really good at using LLMs in order, and LLMs and other key tools in order to be an AI accelerated product manager. So I highly recommend showing up for that session. He is our midday keynote, and that will be at 12:15. Different link, but I will see you all there. If I don't have any other questions, oh, there's a Q&A. Oh no, wait, great session. A quick question. In general, how are we going to get PDU accrued? This is more of an administrative question for the whole session, for all the things. So you can claim these PDUs yourself manually, but we also have a provider code. So shoot us an email, and we will verify that you were in session. We have obviously recordings of everyone who has attended. We are able to see the attendance records, and then we will provide you with either a certificate for the sessions that you attended, and then this only matters if you have a PMP or other PMI certification and are looking to gain PDUs. But you can just request that of us, and we'll provide it to you. We do that for all of our events. Cool, awesome. Oh, questions about my email? Yeah, sure. Here's my email. My email is johnj85@umd.edu. It's both the student and faculty, so that's why I've got the numbers. What about bucketing email subscriptions? Have it send an email to check. I guess that could be a single prompt. If you have multiple email subscriptions, and the question is, are they in any kind of unified framework? If they're not, you can definitely have a different Zap for everyone. If you wanted to connect, what I might do is, if they're all effectively running on Gmail, I would use an app script to export and then put those into a location to then be massaged and or analyzed so that I could get my daily digest. That's what I would do. And the other one is that, the other one would be, I think depending upon the number, you would want to think about it, but I would either do exports, or I would connect Zaps, or I would be very specific about the use case. So the most important thing, remember, is that it has high impact and it's feasible. So you probably have an email that you're using for most of the important things, and I would focus on automating things in that location first. It's kind of like a slight sidestep to the question, but you can do exports, you can do multiple searches and Zaps, and or you could just focus on the one email that matters. That would be my response. Good questions. All right. Any others? Well, great. Thank you all for being here. It's been a blast. Thank you for all the kind notes as well. It means a lot. Put a lot of effort into this. Hopefully you enjoyed it and the artistry that went along with it. I look forward to seeing you all at 12:15 for Professor Peters' presentation, and I will see you there. Enjoy the break. See you soon.